I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease...
I'm white, I can't comment
Listen
on
to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day.
Woo! That's an interesting one. The white man gave us diabetes by calling us the N-word. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe, because today we're going to be reacting to a clip from CNN featuring former U.S. Representative, keep that in mind, Jamal Bowman of New York, apparently. Now, he's going to talk about the racism and discrimination that everybody's dealing with in the United States of America, and he so specifically deals with as a black man, and it's going to be linked to diabetes, obesity, and heart disease somehow. Let's watch.
Catholic
pro-life ministries bombed. We are not dealing
Catholic
with America's original sin and its disease of hate and racism towards black and brown people and sexism towards women and anti-LGBTQ sentiment. We are not dealing with that. Your colleagues in the Republican Party do not hold each other accountable when it comes to the racism that comes from the party on a consistent basis.
Congressman, I mean, where are you on?
You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease...
I'm white, I can't comment
Listen
on
to what I'm...
Let's pause there. You can be calm about it. In fact, you can calm all the way down.
saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day.
Just listen to that claim, y'all. He says the reason that we have diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and the reason it's so prevalent within the black community is because we get called the N-word. Huh? Now I'm going to be charitable to him. And really what he's saying is we get discriminated against. We face racism and segregation. And we've gone through all these things historically. And this has led to the medical impacts of obesity, heart disease, and diabetes, apparently, for black people. Now I'll give him that stress is a factor when it comes to heart disease, diabetes, obesity. But he's saying the discrimination that black people face is stressing them out so much that it's giving them these conditions. Okay, we all know the demand for racism far exceeds the supply, so I'm not really falling for this one, but let's keep going.
If your colleagues would listen and try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country.
Jamal,
but unfortunately, we're still here.
Jamal,
the hate's coming from one side.
Jamal, I feel your passion and I understand where you're coming from. Sincerely, I really, really do. It happens on both sides, Jamal. You might think it happens more on your side. Jamal, when I leave the show, Jamal, you should see my Twitter feed.
We gotta stop. He's talking to this man like he's a child. I feel your passion. I feel that you really care about this. And because you're screaming it and claiming that you can't be calm, I have to give you more time than you deserve. We have to start hearing these ideas and going, no, I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm sure there's black people somewhere that have faced some immense amount of discrimination and it's led to stress in their lives that we could then link to things like heart disease, diabetes, obesity. But you really think that's the bulk of the problem? He said it's the reason. Come on now.
Yeah, and they're acquitted. Rodney King, Abner Louima, Eric Gardner, Trayvon Martin, black cops in Memphis. It's not the same. And I don't want to.
They always play this game, just like say a bunch of names, and that's meant to shut down the conversation because these people died, some in horrific ways. So now that that's been said and I'm black, let's stop talking about it because everything is due to racism and blackness and anti-blackness. It's like the surefire tactic they're going to use to try to cut the conversation straight to a conclusion, try to relinquish themselves of blame, responsibility, accountability, and just to say the white man is bad and that's the reason we deal with any problem in our lives whatsoever because we're black. Blaming white people for everything and just like trying your hardest to find a link to white racism against black people is like hacking the mainframe in an early 2000s film. Does that make sense? I don't know. Let's keep watching.
Qualify or quantify pain. That's not what I'm talking about. Everyone goes through pain. But the racism in this country is the disease that will destroy us. And it's destroying us right now as we speak. January 6th, everybody was pardoned. Everybody's pardoned. Riots in LA, they're insurrectionists. But we pardoned everyone January 6th.
Really? I feel like the riots in LA didn't really get the coverage they deserved. The George Floyd riots didn't get the coverage they deserved, although they caused what? $2.3 billion in damage. They took other Black lives. They destroyed Black communities, homes, shops, businesses, let alone, all the other damage that they did to people of other races. Did we call them insurrectionists? No, we called them mostly peaceful. But the January 6th thing happens, and all of a sudden, the government's being overthrown by white nationalists. Be so fucking for real. Now, this is not the first time I've ever heard this argument about Black health being linked to racism and discrimination. I'm going to play you another clip here so that you can get your footing on this one.
Talk about Black women being obese. I hate it because it becomes a way to blame us for a set of conditions that we didn't create. We are living in the Trump era. And look, those policies kill our people. And what public health practitioners think is that our stress responses in the body change our metabolism. It's literally that the racism that you're experiencing and the struggle to make ends meet actually means the diet don't work for you the same.
Just a little bit of accountability, maybe. If we just try to point fingers and blame somebody for everything wrong that happens in our lives, we're never going to get anything done. And we're never actually going to get to the root of the problem. And yes, racism and discrimination could be factors in these issues, but you're making it way more significant than it ever was before. Meanwhile, the idea that racism is more prevalent now in the United States or in the West in general, for real. Racism, again, the demand exceeds the supply, yet you're still going on to blame everything on white people and racism and Jim Crow and slavery. When do we give it up? At what point? How far removed do we get from these ideas and these experiences before we can say, we need to take a little bit of accountability? And not just accountability, we also need to look at facts, because there are other factors that impact the health of not only Black Americans, but people of all different races. Did you know that Black Americans could be genetically predisposed to diabetes, that they have a higher rate of insulin resistance? And this is due to actual genetics, to actual genes in the body. And they're not the only races that deal with this. Hispanics deal with it. Alaskan natives deal with it. American natives deal with it. So why can't we just talk about that and really get to the bottom of what's going on? Because we want to blame white people. Because that's what we do these days. We see any amount of disparity, any difference between races, and we go, how could I blame this on white people? Which is just insane. I'm going to show you another clip that sort of just takes this home for me. This is actress Taraji P. Henson. Let's watch.
You know why Black people run away when we laugh? Because we weren't allowed to laugh on those plantations. This is stuff that lives in us, y'all. This ain't nothing new, y'all. That's why y'all going, oh, what? Yeah, it lives in us. That doesn't just go away, like she said. And if we don't start unpacking it seriously, it will also be the end of us.
The reason we run when we laugh is because of the plantation. Yo, I'm going crazy. This is nuts, okay? And the whole crowd, Now, you know damn well she is not making any sense whatsoever. But let's go ahead and blame white people for everything that's ever taken place in Black America. And on the topic of health, not only do we have that genetic predisposition, you have cultural impacts of, cultural foods that you eat, how you treat nutrition, what you learn about nutrition, what your parents and family teach you about nutrition, how a mother is treated during pregnancy, how she treats her body during pregnancy, what she eats when she's pregnant, that are going to impact your outcome when it comes to type 2 diabetes or heart disease or obesity. And if we cannot take accountability for the facets of that in which we can take accountability for, in which we can change our actions, in which we can educate ourselves, nothing is going to get done. If you're going to blame racism for everything, even if it's true, where are you going to get with that? What are you going to do? You're going to go nowhere. And guess what? It's not true. It's not probably the reason that you're obese. It's probably not the reason that you have heart disease. It's probably not the reason that you have diabetes. So we should probably investigate further. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Haven't white people been blamed enough? How long can you continue to blame them before we start moving in a different direction? Because it's getting pitiful at this point. It's getting pitiful at this point. At some point, you have to take the crutch, look down, and go, oh my gosh, my leg's not broken. I'm just not walking on it. At some point. And it's kind of crazy because even when you look this up, Google's AI tries to attribute everything almost to racism and discrimination. They say stress, chronic stress from discrimination and systemic inequities is linked to higher risks of obesity and diabetes. And I urge you guys to research this for yourself and see what pops up for you, because Google's AI, which we all know is woke garbage, gave me a whole slew of reasons why this is all due to racism and segregation and slave history. And then at the end goes, by the way, there's also a genetic predisposition. Okay. And it's not just genetics. Of course, there's socioeconomic factors, there's cultural factors, there's education factors, there's food access factors. But to just go ahead and limit everything to the white person is to not take agency over your own life. You really have no choice if you're going to continue to just go, A plus B equals C. If this is happening in my life, it's the white man. That's racist! Take some ownership. And where you don't need to take ownership, you have facts like the genetic predisposition to sort of back things up and provide support and context for what you are experiencing. When we just move down the line and go through everything trying to get to the conclusion of racism, we really get nowhere. And I can see why people are getting tired of this conversation and they're not really able to treat it with care anymore, although they're sort of forced to on CNN because this guy is screaming about how he can't be calm. At some point, you're going to have to look for other sources for your problems. And oftentimes you can look right in the mirror. And this is not to blame everybody for their chronic illness or when their life is down and out. It's just to say, what have we got if not our own choices? We should look around our lives and think, what are things that I have choice over? What are things that I can change? What are things that I can do? And what are things that I can't, okay? And maybe we start working on the things that we can do rather than looking back at the Jim Crow South and slavery and trying to link every single thing we've ever experienced to that. And with this, I'll end with a quote from Thomas Sowell, who says, racism is not dead, but it is on life support, kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racist. Couldn't have said it better myself. Guys, let me know what you think about this clip. Drop it in the comments down below. As always, if you disagree with anything I said in this video, do get out, but do so respectfully. I encourage healthy debate on this channel. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every day. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.